muchos mensajes que tiene la película, pero creo que sobre todo quiero hablar de la soledad en la que vive su personaje y también sobre el tema de la prostitución, ¿no? Este trabajo que, digamos, no tienen ni beneficios ni nada y las mujeres están sometidas a veces a tener este trabajo pues para que otros ganen dinero y no tienen ningún beneficio, ¿no? Es decir, no es algo que ellas le interesen hacer, sino que se tienen que dedicar a ello pues con valor y con coraje. Entonces quiero saber su opinión también al respecto de ese tema, ya que hay mujeres, como vemos en la película, que, claro, que parece que la muerte no significa nada para el Poder Judicial, para los policías. Gracias.
We'll start with the second one, and then you can remind me of the first one. But with regard to the juxtaposition of the meeting of Theo and this young girl, played by Nati Natasha, who happens to be a prostitute, but what Theo sees in her and the way they meet is on a much more um, fundamentally compassion oriented recognition of one another. She sees him defending a street merchant that he doesn't know who he is, but because the police are beating him mercilessly, this guy gets involved. And she recognizes that there's something about this guy that's beautiful, that he puts himself in the middle of getting himself beat up um, in the spirit of protecting someone he's never met before, but who knows is the victim of an injustice. This is the condition upon which they meet. So he doesn't meet her as a prostitute and a client. He meets her as somebody who recognizes something special in the heart of each of them. And it leads to a relationship between the two of them, which has nothing to do with prostitution. In fact, they never touch each other physically, except to hug and kiss and and express their deep affection for one another. But that doesn't come out of a sexual. Her circumstances are separate from the effect they have on one another. The fact that she earns money as a prostitute. Um, yeah, he has no family left. He has some friends he hangs out with and drinks coffee and plays cards with, and they laugh and but they're going through the motions of they're all old men, and they all have their best years behind them, and so they're all kind of in this kind of death march, which reminds them constantly of how alone we all are in the world at the end of the day. And he's not lonely in a clinical way so much as he's alone and make and coming to terms with the fact that the things that he loved and that he was willing to fight for are all in the rearview mirror. They're no longer in front of him. They're all behind him.
Y mi siguiente pregunta es cómo ha sido trabajar con el director, ¿no? Sobre todo, al ser de México, no se ha trasladado la película en México, sino que se ha grabado todo en el País Vasco y en dos idiomas, ¿no? Sin quitar el euskera de lado, en castellano y en inglés. Así, ¿cómo ha sido su experiencia, sobre todo con ese reparto y con el director?
Well, Gabriel Beristáin, who is a Mexican filmmaker, I've known him for 25 years. We've done many, many things together. I was there when he directed his first short film during the pandemic. I was there when he decided he wanted to transition from being a director of photography to a filmmaker. And I'm a person who really, really is a sucker for anybody who has a dream. And since Gabriel's dream was to make a film, my question was, how do I help? And it turns out that he fashioned this story in the original book that this movie is based on. The character is Spanish, but he adapted it to make the character an American who had spent time in Spain, thus opening the door for me to play the character, which was my pleasure because I got to work with a friend who was also a very big dreamer.
También usted es un gran referente en películas de acción y me gusta que siga manteniendo esa esencia de lo que conlleva, ¿no? Pero ¿cuál ha sido, digamos, el mayor reto de afrontar este personaje? Teniendo
Um,
acción por un lado y tan emocional por otro. Perdón, Fabiola, gracias.
You know, he's called to action out of a deep sense that a horrific injustice has been committed against somebody who he's come to really have a great deal of affection for. He doesn't want to be put in this situation. He's an old man. He's not as supple as he used to be. He doesn't move as quickly as he used to be. He's awkward. He doesn't have a great sense of balance. Old people lose their balance. Um, Old people lose their strength, and yet he's so determined to bring justice to this horrific act of injustice that he's willing to put himself in the most awkward of situations. And that's what he does. And, you know, you can see every time he has to take action against these punks that have committed this horrific act of violence against this beautiful girl, he pays a price. You know, he's out of breath. He's awkward. He's struggling to prevail. But his sense of determination overrides all of that. I find this to be something quite beautiful to have to play as an acting exercise.
También quiero hablar de cómo se ejerce el poder dentro de la película. Es como el que tiene más dinero tiene más poder, pero también hablamos del poder a nivel no solamente político, sino también del sistema, ¿no? De la policía, que al final su personaje, digamos que es como un justiciero, es como alguien que quiere seguir un camino diferente a toda la corrupción con la que se encuentra. Entonces, como también ve si le gustaría también hacer próximas entregas o porque creo que es un personaje que valdría para más películas.
You know, what I've been trying to convey is that everything that he does, that he's forced to do in this situation, is reluctant. He's not. His first instinct is to mind his own business. Is to just say, "This is. I don't. I don't. I'm not the man to take care of this situation. I may have been 25 years ago, 30 years ago, but I'm not that man now." And when he gets the news that she's been murdered savagely, his first instinct is to turn away. But he can't live with himself uh, and know that this situation is 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 gone unanswered. And so this puts him into a place of action that he does not want to be a part of, which makes the conflict of what he's having to do throughout the whole film even more of a challenge. Um, he doesn't know whether he has the strength to take on these three young corrupt lawyers, but he does know that somebody has to do it, and that's what drives him. And so there's a conflict there that charges the film with this constant like, um, does he have what it takes? Does he have what it takes to go all the way to the end and to finally get justice for this young girl?
Y bueno, ya que si me quedan todavía tiempo, quiero preguntarle también por lo que se lleva, ¿no? Siempre creo que como actor siempre hay nuevos retos, nuevos desafíos en personajes, pero ¿qué se lleva él de esta película, ¿no? De este
mm,
trabajo.
Um, I I had a great time making it, like I do everything that I do. I'm really, really, I feel very, very um, privileged to be able to tell stories that give people a sense of satisfaction when they see them. And that takes on many, many different shapes and forms. And I play a wide swath of individuals that sometimes are very bad guys and sometimes are very good guys, everything in between. But it's important that we remind our audiences as storytellers that we have more in common than we have that separates us. And the reason why I'm so thrilled to be an actor and even more excited now and that I'm in my 70s than I was when I was in my 20s is because I feel like to be a part of an expressive art form that reminds people of our commonalities rather than our differences is a real noble profession to be a part of. And the satisfaction I take every time I get a chance to participate in any exercise that exemplifies what I'm talking about is my reward, and it's inexplicable the amount of goodwill and good feeling I have for participating in this noble and art form.
Pues ya me quedo sin tiempo. Muchas gracias a Ron. Y nada, gracias, Fabiola. Que vaya muy bien.
Thank you very much.